Part 4. Day 359. I don't think I'll see her again this time. Now that the gym closed down, the only place I might run into her is Sim Sim, but I know she'll probably stay away for a while, being that I work there and all. It's sad because I'd been wanting to break up with her for a month now, but still didn't have the balls to be brave like she was. Something about it being her that initiated the breakup makes it feel like this time it'll stick. And in a weird way, I'm okay with that. The part that's hard to reconcile is that she can go out any night she wants to and find someone who will fuck her, like she was going to the grocery store. It's not that there would be anything wrong with that, but there's still that part of me that sees her as my girlfriend, and thinking of another man inside her, holding her hips, pulling her hair, slapping her ass, well, it just gets to me. My mind's also the kind to think of shit like that when it knows I'm feeling down. Anything to make the pain worse, cause then I'll have an excuse to make poor decisions. Like messaging that girl Maddie from the yoga studio. She's been flirting with me on social media since before the breakup, and I guess because she knew I had a girlfriend, I didn't think there was anything wrong with flirting back. Coincidentally, she wants me to come out with her and some coworkers to a karaoke bar now that I'm single, even though she doesn't know that I'm single. Having that to look forward to, the breakup starts to make more and more sense to me. Like, it had to happen exactly when it did so that I could go out tonight and ask Maddie on a date without it being considered cheating. So I text my buddy Ben and ask him to tag along. He loves Egos, the karaoke bar we're going to. I chug 2 beers before Ben picks me up and I'm ready to go. He plays Eminem in the car on the way over, and that feels like chugging 2 more beers. By the time we get to Egos, I'm at my most comfortable. There's no monkey in my head trying to make me act nervous and self-conscious. Maddie invited me here. She wants me here. She probably really likes me, too. When we get to ordering more drinks and sitting down, I'm so fucking happy that I'm next to Maddie. She's wearing tight jeans and a dark green overcoat, and hers is a beauty to marvel at. Forget about Nat. Maddie looks like she's actually modeled before. She looks like the kind of girl I could never be with, because a girl like that must get hit on constantly, every time she goes out, and, I don't want to worry about that, you know? Ben sits to the left of us on the corner of the table, and Maddie's 2 friends, Alyssa and Sugar Baby, sit across from us. Sugar Baby has blue hair and a resting bitch face. Alyssa looks like she's 32 and a churchgoer. I make small talk with both of them, and try to include Ben in our conversation. Maddie chimes in every now and then, but I can tell she's trying to act cool in front of me, and it makes me want to date her even more. I've never dated a cool girl before. At least not one who knows she's cool and acts like she knows it too. The karaoke host announces the next person up, and it's Ben that gets pulled out of the group first. He sings, "I Want to Hold Your Hand," and the crowd goes wild. I know I'm up next because we signed up for it together, and with as much alcohol as I've drank, I'm not nervous at all. I mean, my arms and legs are shaking, and I know that tanking will be the end of me and Maddie, but I tune out those worries because I know the song I'm about to sing better than I know myself. Ben hands me the mic and walks back to our table. The lights shine bright on my face, and they're right next to the TV, prompting me with the lyrics, which makes it hard to see them well. Is that on purpose, I wonder? And then Dido starts to sing the chorus for Eminem's Stan, and I feel like this is that one moment, one opportunity that M sings about in Lose Yourself. So I take it, and I fucking slay M's verses. I'm so engaged with the song and the lyrics that I barely notice when Maddie and her friends record videos of me up there. I'm shaking worse when I get back to my seat than I was when I went on stage. Everyone tells me how good that was, and I know I'm blushing and smiling too much. Maddie and Sugar Baby leave the table and the bar, and I don't hear where they're going, so part of me thinks I won't see them again tonight. Alyssa and Ben and I talk about our jobs and buy another round of beers, except now that I'm done with the scary part of the night, I don't really feel like drinking anymore. I want Maddie to come back and chat with me, but I have to say, the more I think about it, the less interested she seemed as the nights progressed. I have to remind myself that it's probably just her trying to be cool that makes it look like that. She invited me here. She's younger than me. I remember what it was like hanging out with older girls in high school who claimed to have crushes on me. They would invite me out with their friends, and I would feel so out of my element that I'd act like a fucking idiot in front of them, unrecognizable from the boy they had a crush on. Maddie and Sugar Baby come back and tell us they were outside smoking a joint. "And you didn't invite me?" I tease Maddie. "You're a big boy. I didn't know you needed an invite." Sugar Baby says, "I think I'm ready to get out of here. Is anyone else?" "I am," Maddie says, and I guess because of that we all sort of decide to call it a night. "Do you want to ride back with us?" Maddie asks. "Sure," I say. and turned to Ben to tell him good night and thanks for coming and all that. Alyssa's meeting up with some dude at the bar, so she stays back. The night's not over for her. Maddie, Sugar Baby, and I all get into Maddie's car. They play a Kid Cudi song and lose their minds. I just sort of sit in the back not knowing how to act because the alcohol is worn off now. What? Maddie asks. You don't like Kid Cudi? No, he's fine, I say. Fine, Sugar Baby says. He's the best. Then they both start singing along to his music, and I put my seatbelt on because Maddie does not look like she should be driving. What she does look like is the kind of girl who would drive even if she was drunk, or high, or whatever she is right now. I realize my night's over when we pull into my apartment complex and Sugar Baby's still in the car with us. I've also never asked someone out in front of other people, so I feel pretty bummed knowing that's not going to happen either. Thanks for joining us, Sugar Baby says. You were a lot of fun up there, Maddie says. I needed this tonight, so thank you, girls. What does that mean? Sugar Baby blurts out, and I wish that she hadn't. I start. I know I shouldn't say it, but honestly, who cares anymore? I'm not some cool dude trying to impress Maddie anymore. My heart's broken, and if that means she and I can't go out, then so be it. My girlfriend and I broke up last night. I needed some fun tonight, so, thanks. I notice Maddie's demeanor change. She looks like a robot that's processing new information. Fuck her, Sugar Baby says. You're gonna be alright. Yeah, you're right. I am. Thanks for the ride, Maddie. Good night, girls. Good night, Sugar Baby says. Good night, Maddie says. I go back to my room and fall into bed with my phone in my hands. This whole night's felt like an escape from my reality. I know from my role models that the best thing you can do after a breakup is to allow yourself the sadness that comes with it, and also spend as much time with friends as you can. It has something to do with making sure you process the pain and don't just store it. Build it up for the next time you feel it. I know that I'm probably not even ready to start dating again, but, well, I just feel so worthless being alone like this. It feels like there's really no purpose to anything that I do if there isn't anyone to share it all with. I know that given how things went down with Nat, I need to be single for a while. I need to explore what's out there and fuck the hormones out of my system. But that conflicts with this deep longing I have for the kind of love that comes from being in a relationship with another person. It's almost like I need an entirely new body to control, something like that will allow me to live both of the lives I want to live. I can wake up one day in one body, see my friend Ben, talk to as many girls as I want, fuck around with whomever I want, whenever I want. Then the next day I can wake up in bed with Maddie, or whomever my girlfriend in that life is, and feel the love that I never got as a boy, and still don't know how to accept. I guess this is why adults complain so much about life passing them by. There's just not a way to do all of the things that you want. But I'm not an adult yet. I can still make mistakes. I'm fucking 22 years old, and this whole charade of feeling like I have to be super responsible and mature already is tiring me out. So I go on social media and find my chat with Maddie. The last thing she sent me was, ha ha ha. I craft 2 sentences and hit send. Hey, I hope it's not weird me asking you this, given that we work right next to each other and all, but would you want to grab a drink with me sometime this week? She responds almost immediately. All night long I was hoping you would ask me that. I would love to. And all of a sudden I don't feel so sad anymore, so I must be making the right decision. Day 366. I meet Maddie outside of Spider House in my best pants and a dark t-shirt. She wears the same overcoat from last week, but her face is made up this time, like she cares more about tonight. Being on a date with someone I see so regularly but rarely interact with is different than a first date with a stranger from an app. There's more at stake. If I fuck it up, she can go back to work and spread the word about what a loser I am. If I don't make her come in bed, the gossip will be about what a small cock Nick has. These are the thoughts going through my head as I order a Pacifico and Hefeweizen at the bar. She doesn't like that I'm paying for her beer and insists on getting the next round. Then we find a small table in the outside patio that's in the middle of all the tables, but oddly the most secluded and quiet. I set my beer on the table and sit down, but my legs are so long that they shake the table and rock my beer, and a quarter of it comes spilling down my pants. I laugh, and so does Maddie. Shows how nervous I am, doesn't it? She laughs some more. These tables aren't very stable, so it's not all you. She moves the table to show me how wobbly it is, and spills some more beer on me as she does. "Oh no, I'm so sorry," she says. I wipe as best I can and take a big gulp of Hefeweizen. So how's your day been? I ask. Did you work at the studio today? I did, yeah. It's, well, you know Laura. I've seen her in passing, yeah. I wouldn't say that I know her, though. Is she mean or something? It's not that she's mean, she's from Malibu. I say. Like, that explains everything. Okay. She doesn't know what she's doing running that place. Everyone talks about her behind her back. Man, I bet that makes work uncomfortable. How long have you been there, by the way? 'Cause you were there before I even started, weren't you? On and off for like 2 years? How come you're only part-time? I'm going to school to be a nurse. No way. Another sip. How long have you been doing that? I'm a year out from being a nurse practitioner. Is that why you moved to Austin? Or, actually, I don't even know where you're from. I grew up in the mountains, north of California. Small town in the middle of nowhere. Cold. You know the deal. Then my mom and dad divorced and my dad started a new family, so I moved to Cedar Park with my mom and haven't spoken to him since. Holy shit, I say. I'm sorry to hear that. It's funny, 'cause I saw him in Austin like 4 or 5 months ago. He was walking down the street by one of those fancy downtown hotels with his doctor buddies. What did he say when he saw you? He didn't see me. I was in my car, stopped at a red light. So you didn't honk or flip him off or anything? Ha ha ha. No, I don't ever want to talk to him again, except when he doesn't send us money. There seems to be room for a whole conversation about what she just said, but I don't want to freak her out by being too confrontational. My parents separated when I was young, too. You're from Cancun, right? Yeah, I left when I was 18, and I never want to go back. I feel the same about Roseburg, she says. So then why Austin? Or was it just anywhere as long as you weren't home? Both, for sure. But Austin just seemed like a special place, you know? I used to listen to a couple of podcasts that were based here, and it really showed me what a life here could look like. I've tried martial arts, improv comedy. I can go swimming in like 10 different places. And best of all, I get pretty much the same kind of weather I did in Cancun. Are you going to school? I could only take a year of that, to be honest. Not because it was unbearable or anything terrible. It was just a waste of time for me. I didn't want to be a nurse. All I wanted was to meet people and learn stuff, and, well, school can do that, sure, but so can starting a regular life somewhere, you know? Only that way you don't have to go into tens of thousands of dollars of debt. Yeah, if my dad wasn't paying for it, I don't know how I would manage. I've thought about dropping out, honestly, but I'm just so close to being done that it seems like that makes more sense for me. I do think about traveling, though. Just going to, like, Barcelona for 6 months, or doing an internship in Big Bend. I've heard a lot about Big Bend. Have you been there? Oh my God, have I been there? She raises her voice and I hear a hint of a southern drawl. I live for the times I go there. It's gotta be one of my favorite places I've ever been. And Marfa? Have you heard of Marfa? It sounds familiar. Where's that? It's about a 6-hour drive west. If you go, look up El Cosmico. You have to stay there. The way the stars look at night, it's unreal. What do you like most about it? Which one? Marfa or Big Bend? Either one. Both. Big Bend's actually not far from Marfa. It's just so quiet over there. I'm a big nature girl. I grew up in it. I spent a lot of time alone in it. It helps to remind me of who I really am in a way. I love spending time alone. Why do you think that is? I think the divorce has a lot to do with it. Not having my parents around. I stayed home a lot and played video games. Red Dead's one of the best things on this earth. Redemption? I ask. Right? It's the best game ever made. Hands down. Yeah, that thing's on another level. It kept me company. But don't get me wrong. I'm not super antisocial or anything. I had a lot of friends. I would just always feel so much more inclined to go on a hike by myself, or spend time at home, alone, instead of going to parties and getting fucked up. It all seemed so depressing and destructive. The way our lives are similar is all that I can think of. It's like she was experiencing my exact same life just thousands of miles northwest of me in a colder, cloudier city. That's gotta mean something, doesn't it? It's like we were made for each other. It's like I was meant to be broken up with so that I could finally be with Maddie. Speaking of which, she says, what's the deal with your girlfriend? Why'd you two break up? Here we go. She just wanted something I wasn't ready to give her, you know? But it wasn't bad. We don't, hate each other. But now you want to date me? She says, and makes coquettish eyes at me. Or is this just like a friendly coworker's date? I laugh and say, I'm attracted to you. I think you're attracted to me too. She nods. I want to get to know you better. I'm not trying to rush into anything, but I'm also not just trying to take you home tonight and never call you again. I don't know, she says. I'm not a fan of rebounds. I know. I'm sure I'd be just as skeptical as you. I think you're a nice girl, and I think whatever this is, this thing we both felt, the reason we're here, I think that's something worth exploring, you know? But maybe that's just me being all romantic and whatnot. No, I'm only half serious. I am attracted to you. A lot. My chest burns, but it's the first time rage isn't why. This feels like, like this smoking hot, smart, genuine girl likes me back. It reminds me of all the times in grade school when the notes I would pass to girls got passed back to me with smiley faces or big red hearts. And that is a little off-putting that you just got out of a relationship, but the way you talk about it doesn't seem weird at all. I'm glad that I came out with you. I want to keep going out with you. Do you want another beer? I said I was buying. I just asked if you wanted another beer. Let me, she says. I watch her as she goes into the bar, her messy light brown hair sagging behind her in a bunched up braid. The whole time I'm thinking, how the hell did I get this girl to come out with me? I can't imagine what seeing her naked will do to me. Day 394. It'll be Christmas Eve on Sunday, over a year since the drama with my mom. I love getting away from traumatic events as time goes on. It's what everyone means when they say time heals all wounds. I also love how close I'm getting to the Grand Canyon expedition, even more so now that Penny's friend Caleb dropped out. More room in the car, more familiarity among travelers. I do worry that I'm underestimating how challenging this road trip will be, but honestly, I'm so looking forward to all the drugs we're going to do that's what's taking center stage inside my head. I've been so excited that last week I bought hiking shoes, a 0-degree sleeping bag, insulated clothes, and a bunch of freeze-dried food. Right now I'm buying 2 bottles of wine I'm bringing to Penny's birthday party. Maddie's tagging along, helping me choose the best of the cheap wines. She's supposed to be looking up some information on her phone about where certain wineries in California are. Ugh, she says. Have you heard of the rapper Lil Peep? Instead, I look over at a picture she's trying to show me of him. He's all tatted up and looks too young to be so scarred. I don't think so, but from the looks of it, I probably wouldn't like his music. It's hideous. All he talks about is heroin and suicide. It pisses me off that so many of his followers are like in their early teens. Jesus, I sigh. I don't even want to know. Shit like that scares me. Right after we buy the 2 wine bottles, Penny texts me that the party is moving to the bars on West 6th, and I hate going out to West. I would say let's go to my place, but Jess is home tonight, and I think she's having people over. Do you want to just go to yours? Maybe drink one of these together? Yeah, let's do that. Maddie spends the night with me every time we go on a date, but we have yet to do anything beyond kissing. I figured tonight could be different with the wine and us being more comfortable with each other, but it's hard to say. I'm starting to get a little in my head about it. After 2 glasses of wine and 2 hours of trading childhood stories and music interests and laughing a lot, I don't hesitate to kiss her. She kisses back and starts moving her arms around my back, rubbing and scratching it. Her top comes off and my hands fall on her chest. Touching her is so different from touching Nat. Despite having the same body parts, there's not the familiarity that comes with being in a long-term relationship with someone. The rest of our clothes come off, and it's not until I'm almost inside of her that she stops me. Is everything okay? I ask. I don't know that I'm ready for that. I roll off and say, of course, there's no rush. She kisses me again. It goes on like this for another 2 minutes. Then she stops and says, I had a really scary experience a couple months ago, and I'm a little nervous about sex these days. Don't feel like you have to justify it. I understand. Do you want to talk about what happened? Because the lights are turned off, I can barely see her facial expressions. I see her lips moving and her eyes blinking, but it's hard to tell how personal what she's about to say is. I was assaulted by a very close friend of mine. He was pushy to the point of making me run out of his apartment. So, I don't think you would do that, but I didn't think he would either. And I knew him for 3 years before it happened. God, that's awful. I'm sorry you went through that. It's okay. I mean, it's not okay that happened, but you don't have to feel bad. It's been a while. I don't know. I get it. I'd feel the same way if I were you. Besides, like I said, I'm not in a rush. I like you, Maddie. I like you too. I feel the chills on her arms. Thank you for being cool about this. I think I beat myself up too much to even think that I'm being cool about something. To me, just being with a girl is special, meaning that the idea of finding someone who wants to spend time with me, kiss me, and one day potentially have sex with me is so ridiculous I can't imagine acting like I deserve it. I can't imagine not being cool about this. You're not like most guys then. That's good and bad, I say. Right now it's only good. I wish more people thought that way. Day 404. Evan and I spent the night at Penny's so we could all leave together early in the morning. I'm talking rise at 5 and hit the road by 6 at the latest. I'm groggy like I used to get when I had to be up at 6 to open at my last job. I hate waking up so early. It's unnecessary, unless you want to beat traffic to get to New Mexico in good time. Getting everything ready and into Penny's car before the sun has even risen reminds me of rushing to the airport with my family so we wouldn't miss our 6 a.m. flight. But I guess when you're excited about a trip, logistics don't really matter all that much. I store my suitcase backpack in the trunk and put my sleeping bag in the back seat with me so I can rest my head on it and sleep. Evan rides shotgun and Penny's our designated driver for shift number 1. The drive out of Austin goes by fast. The only annoying thing about it is the music Penny's chosen to listen to. It includes, but isn't limited to, mumble rappers and Wilco. I tune it out by thinking of the last week of 2017 and how much fun it was. My brother and I took an impromptu trip to Marfa, and I finally got to stay at El Cosmico. We dropped acid on Christmas Eve, walked around the town together, and snapped a bunch of pictures. The day was warm and sunny and perfect for walking. The night was dark, the streets poorly lit, the temperature dropping quicker than the sun could set, reaching perhaps the coldest cold that I've ever felt. It's hard to remember our conversations because of the drugs. What I take away instead was how special it felt to go on vacation with only my brother. I don't think we'd ever done that before, even if only for a night. It was just me and him in the desert, eating peanut butter and jelly sandwiches for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and complimenting each other on the pictures we took. I remember going in and out of our teepee at night, trying to fight the cold so I could keep my brother company as he set up his tripod and tried to take pictures of us sitting outside the teepee. He was wearing fingerless gloves and not enough layers, but he got the picture that he wanted. He was so happy. It was also what prompted him a couple of days later to buy a plane ticket to Barcelona for his first ever European adventure. I'm so excited for him. I know he's like me and my dad in his ability to self-teach. I know that despite already being a great photographer, going on that trip will make him an excellent one. Honestly, if I had the money, I'm sure I would have bought a ticket to join him. But I'm also excited to have the apartment to myself for a month. The last time I had a 2-bedroom apartment to myself was after my old roommate's overdose. That sucked, but this won't. I'll even have the dog for some of that time. When I came back from Marfa, Maddie invited me to spend New Year's Eve with her and her best friend Morgan. So I invited Todd to tag along and the 4 of us went to a 5-band music show downtown. It was one of the only times my brothers hung out with me and my friends, as opposed to me hanging out with him and his. I tried Molly for the first time and danced with Maddie all night long. When the music inside slowed down, we'd go to the outside patio and listen to the other bands. It snowed that night. It was also the first time I ever kissed someone at midnight on the eve of a new year. So much has happened since Nat and I broke up that I feel I haven't had a chance to settle into any of it. None of it feels tangible or stable enough to rely on, but I'm hoping this trip will help me clear some room in my head. All I ever wanted growing up was to run away from everyone as far as I could possibly get. In college, I often drove out to Malibu to hike the Zuma Canyon Trail alone, just me and my music, anything to find quiet. And though this trip isn't going to be very quiet, I welcome the change. I still miss Nat. I think about her pretty much every day, but it's different, you know? I'm not waiting for the day that we find each other again. I know we're not supposed to be together. I know the breakup came as a blessing in disguise. It brought me closer to Maddie, too, which hasn't been easy coming straight into it from another relationship, but it's helped. It's like Alex always told me. Sometimes it can be good to practice growing within a relationship. That's only now starting to ring true to me. I fucking hated therapy for so long, I can't imagine going back anytime soon. I need to learn to rely on myself for a while. I need to live life without this constant reminder that I'm fucking things up, or that I could be doing better. I have my 30s and 40s to do that. Breaking up is weird. Relationships are weird. Being so goddamn young is weirder than both of those things combined. but it affords me a constant of new experiences, and that's what I'm most grateful for now. Penny turns down the music and opens her and Evan's window. I lift my head from the sleeping bag, sit up, and roll my window down. We must have left Texas now because I see mountains up ahead, and I recognize the signs on the side of the road from when I first drove through here to start my new life in Austin. Day 406. We've been hiking down the canyon for 30 minutes now. Penny leads, Evan tails, and I'm just sort of bumbling through in the middle of both of them, fighting not to fall behind Evan, but also keeping an eye on Penny and making sure I don't lose sight of her. It's like all three of us are magnets, but I'm the polar opposite one that keeps us apart. I started the day with all but one of my layers of clothing on, because even at 9 in the morning with the sun in the clear it was cold as hell. Or maybe the nerves made it feel that way. I took off my hoodie 5 minutes ago, and my thermal overalls, so now I'm in joggers and a t-shirt, sweating my ass off. Each step I take feels like a hammer to the ground. I have to hold my balance and not go too fast because the steps are ancient and my shoes don't have much grip. I'm glad it's not icy, though. That was one of the warnings we were given when we chose to come in early January, and I almost bought ice cleats for my shoes. That would have made me feel like a fool wasting all that money because my mom and my grandma were too damn worried. I keep telling myself that it's because they care, but I'm just so goddamn used to my feelings being validated by adults that I never want to listen to them again. Whenever I want to try something new, it seems like all that they can focus on are the potential downfalls of my doing so. I think I want to be a professional poker player, I once told my dad. The first thing he did was laugh. Then he said, "When are you going to grow up and start making money?" Another time I told him I wanted to be a writer. I was excited because I just won a $1,500 scholarship for college for something I wrote in 30 minutes and called to break the news to him. "That's great," he said, "but that money will run out. How are you going to make this sustainable? What about your family? Do you think you can have children if you just sit at a computer writing stories for the rest of your life?" When I told my mom about the scholarship, she said, "Congratulations." Then she changed the subject. Now that I'm doing this Grand Canyon thing, I know they're probably both concerned about my safety. I get that. Perhaps I'll get it even more when I have children of my own. That's a healthy thing. Wanting your boy to be safe. What sucks is that their way of showing that is by encouraging me to try something else instead, or bombarding me with questions about whether or not I'm prepared. What about your job? Do you need money? You can't go about this the way you've gone about everything else in your life. I think, why the hell not? That's how I made it out of that fucking bubble that I lived in for so long. That's how I realized my mistake in going to college. It's also how I've managed to build a new life for myself. Sure, the ground underneath me isn't sturdy enough yet, but I'm 22 years old. Jesus, is that all they think parenting is? Keep walking. I keep walking. One step at a time, my focus on the physical sensations, my knee crunching and flexing, the balls of my feet growing calloused, my hands dripping sweat, my hair sticking to my forehead, the suitcase backpack on my back pulling down on my shoulders and pressing them against my lower back. The sun on my face feels good. I don't actually close my eyes because I would fall to my death if I did, but for a while it kind of feels like I do. My body grows used to the pain, every breath I take colder than the last. By now my shoes are caked with dirt, and my feet start to feel slippery inside my socks. I've lost the constant sight of Penny, but every now and then I'll turn a corner and see her 600 or 700 steps ahead of me. Evan I'm not so sure about, but he's the most experienced camper, so he's probably just pacing himself. When we hit the 3-hour mark, we're far down enough that we only see people every 15 or so minutes. Most of them just wave and look at me like they're not going to make it back up. None of them carry camping gear, which means they decided to do the trip down and then back up the same day. Crazy people. Crazy until I see this dude in tight shorts and a rash guard run past me, flying over steps on his way down. All he has on his person is a camelback with a suction tube hanging out to one side. It reminds me of my dad's friend, Salvador, and how he still runs 5 miles daily at 73. I give him a thumbs up that he doesn't see because his back is turned to me. Man, I'm as out of shape as I can be, and we still have 3 more hours to go. There's this zone that I hit at the halfway point. By now, I know turning around will take me just as long. Penny and Evan aren't going to turn around, so even if I make it out, I won't have anywhere to go or anything to do. It's not like I can afford to stay at the National Park lodging for 2 nights while my friends trip balls at the bottom. So I'm always confident I'll reach the bottom because I know it's my only option. Instead, I stop thinking so much. I don't need to think in order to survive. All I need is to keep putting trail mix and water in my mouth and let my body do the rest. I take 5-minute breaks from time to time, but I never fully relax because I feel like I have to keep up the pace and not let Evan catch up. It almost feels like I'm being chased. Even out here where no one can hear me struggle, I'm still worried about appearance. What will it look like if I come in last? The thought angers me every time I sit to breathe and give my knees some rest, so this will be my last break. I look at the Casio on my wrist and see that we're 2 hours out. I check my phone, but there's no more signal. I'm officially disconnected for the next 2 nights. I find it hard to get back up knowing that Maddie could be anywhere in Austin right now, with anyone too. I hate uncertainty, not knowing, but I hate even more feeling tied down to a goddamn device because that's just the world we live in now. Except it's always been that way. Even in grade school, I remember going home and fighting my sister for the computer so I could talk to my girlfriend and make sure she was still my girlfriend. I've always been waiting for bad stuff to happen, waiting for that moment when the people who claim to love me turn around and say, "Gotcha!" Having to ration food and water reminds me of the ways in which I treat love with a starving mentality. Whenever I receive it, I cling to it desperately because I know that love is finite. I know from all the times my parents sent me to my room and told me I wasn't a good kid that I'm one mistake away from losing that love, and that if I lose it, there will be no more to be found. I think that's why I cheated on Nat. I was so worried of losing the love she gave me that I felt the need to find another love before that one ran out. That way, if she stopped loving me, at least I'd have someone else who still did. Come to think of it, maybe I just don't understand what love is. Maybe what I'm talking about is attention, because that's really all it comes down to, isn't it? I've always felt like attention is a form of love, and I never had enough of it. I saw being pushed away by my family as not being worthy of love. I guess that's why I'm sick the way I am, going out at midnight with strange men, seeking whatever attention I can get. I need it. I really feel like it's the only thing that I need. Comfort comes in extremes for me. I'm comfortable not having any attention and being completely isolated because I know what that's like. I can navigate not having friends, family, or loved ones around. In fact, sometimes that's where I operate best, completely alone and untouched by others. I'm also comfortable being completely dependent on another person, like I was with Nat. I feel like I can control outcomes, good and bad ones. If Nat and I only spend time with one another, that must mean that we really do love each other. It's this safe spot where threats don't exist. I'm constantly being reminded that I'm loved because she's choosing to spend all of her time with me and only me. What fucking sucks is finding that middle ground. Hearing Nat say that she's going out to a bar with her girlfriends, or that she's joined a co-ed sports league. Those are places where our relationship becomes threatened. The love that I have could cease to exist at any moment if she meets someone she likes better. Not seeing her for 2 or 3 nights and focusing on my own life instead feels like it'll make things worse when we do meet again. Like she won't like me anymore because she'll realize that it's actually pretty fucking fun and liberating not having to answer to someone else. And yet these are the cards I was dealt. The same way that I'm caught between Penny and Evan right now, uncomfortable in my sweat and pain, craving savory food and a couch to pass out on. I'm at a point in my life where I need to accept that moving backwards will only lead me astray. If I want to find what I've been lacking my whole life and become friends with the void inside of me, I have to keep moving in the right direction. And that starts with getting off this damn rock and continuing to fight through the pain. One step at a time. So that's what I do. I see Evan 50 feet behind me. I throw my bag over my shoulders. The man in tights and a camelback runs past me again, this time heading out. I can't see Penny, but I know that if I walk, no matter the speed at which I do, eventually I'll find her. What's up, guys? So we are coming to the end of the book. We have one more day left, and you've just read or heard about me hiking down to the bottom of the Grand Canyon and all the shit that came up for me while I was doing that, emotional and physical. And the thing that stuck out to me was mentioning my parents and all of the adults in my young life invalidating me or telling me that my dreams were pipe dreams and that they weren't going to afford me the money or the luxury that I would need in order to raise a family, right? Because that's when you are an adult, when you're 40, 50, those are the things that you're thinking about. How am I going to take care of my family? Because odds are you have a family. But when I was 12, 13, all the way until I graduated high school, I wasn't thinking about a family. I was thinking about what I wanted to do with my life. And so their idea of these things was very distorted compared to how I was thinking about it. But at the time, it felt like, they are trying to take what I want the most away from me. And what that did, it did two things to my psyche. And the first thing that it did was that it motivated me to work even harder and to chase those things that people told me not to. And I know some people have, there's both reactions, right? There's people who get sort of ground down and told not to do something, and then they sort of submit and they don't do it, and then they become very unhappy, and they end up living a life that's not theirs, right? And then there's people like me who go do the thing even more, but they do it out of spite almost. They still want to do the thing, but they're not doing it because they want to do the thing anymore. They're doing it because they want to do what they were told not to do, almost as a way to prove to those people that they were wrong. And, that's a good and a bad thing. It's good because it's gotten me to publish 4 books and write a few more. It's gotten me to do this audiobook, a lot of different things that playing in the World Series of Poker, certain dreams that I had as a young boy, I accomplished them not because of other people telling me not to do them, but to spite those people. I wanted to do these things, but it was also like, fuck you guys. You think that a 19-year-old kid can't make money playing poker? I'm going to show you that he can. And, in the story that was in the book when I went to the World Series, I didn't win poker, but I had that drive to go back again 2 years later in 2019. And what happened was that I did end up cashing, and it was all like I bought into the tournament and I lost, but there was an option to rebuy, which meant pay the same amount again and start with the same amount of chips that you had initially. And in my head the whole time was, this is not a good decision. It is irresponsible. It is et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And what drove me to still pay that money anyway and eventually go on to make $1,800 plus in prize money was that voice of like, but I can do it because all of these people are wrong, because this voice in my head that I have internalized from other people is wrong, and it's only trying to tell me, it's only trying to protect me and make me act out of fear, which is the second thing that I was going to get to, is that, nowadays, that all of those voices, all of those teachers who were telling me you got to study for your exams and you got to go to college and that's the only way to grow up and have a successful life, all of those voices, at first, I was like, fuck you guys, fighting against it, right? But what happened is that I was fighting against it so much that now it's become sort of my, it's the voice that becomes the loudest when I become insecure, right? So if I fail at something, it's those people's voices that is now my own inner monologue, and my worries and all of these, their projections have become my beliefs about myself. And I'm not entirely sure why that is, but it's something that I've noticed because like I said, when I was a kid, it was more about fighting against that, and now it's become sort of like I still am making the same decisions, but if I fail, that is how I gauge, should I have done this or should I have not, and how much I punish myself is a better way of phrasing it. How much I punish myself is based now off of all of those people's lives, and And it's also why I continue to make these decisions, because in my head, I've created the narrative that if I can prove those thoughts and those beliefs about myself wrong, then I will be validated, and then I will be enough, and then, which is obviously a flawed way to go about your life. And I've made some adjustments, right? But this is just to give you sort of an insight into, okay, you're trying to look at your childhood, right? And it's not to blame, right? It's not my parents' fault. It's not my teacher's fault. But it's looking at how those people affected my own beliefs about myself, and how those people helped me create certain narratives that I now either am trying not to live by or am living by, completely unaware of, completely unaware that that's what I'm doing. And just sort of where to start if you're trying to piece together some of the things that may have happened to you in early childhood or young adulthood. Day 407. What hurts the most when I wake up is my back. I slept over rocks. I could feel them as they dug their sharp edges into my wooden bones, frail and withered. I don't mind it, though, 'cause we're down at the bottom of the fucking canyon, man. We made it. I can hear the creek next to our tent as it carries freezing cold water into the Colorado River. I know it's freezing 'cause I put my feet in it last night. It feels good to be in nature again. I see it so much in movies, but they never quite capture what it really feels like to be sitting on a picnic table with your feet planted on damp dirt and your shirt off. The rays feel necessary on my face right now. They warm me up in this 40-degree day as I look around the camp and try not to pay attention to the two beautiful women 3 sites down from us. I remind myself that that's not why I came here. But goddamn do they look good in camping gear. Penny is washing her socks by the creek, smiling at the branches on the trees. It makes me wonder if she already ate her part of the mushrooms. "Good morning," she says, and turns to smile at me. "Morning," I say. She turns back to the creek. They say when you reach the bottom of the canyon you feel joyous relief, but they never talk about how stressful it is to be at the bottom the next day, knowing that you have to make the same trek back uphill to get out. My legs still feel like they're on fire. I don't think I could even walk for very long. Evan and I want to go on a hike after we take them. A fucking hike? Are you kidding? Isn't this supposed to be our day of rest? Have you picked a route yet? There's one that goes to the river. We're thinking we'll go there and find a rock to sit on or something. Okay, I say, hoping that all the trails are under a mile, tops. Evan wakes up and joins us. We each take turns putting our hand in the small Ziploc bag with the mushrooms. Penny pulls out another Ziploc, this one with M&Ms, and says it helps with the bad taste, and she's right about the bad taste. Seeing mushrooms for the first time, I realize how rotten and dirty they look. I make that observation out loud at one point. "Yeah, they're poisonous," Penny says. "Poisonous?" I ask. "That's what gets you high." Evan says, "These actually taste pretty good." Penny and I laugh. Then we head out and follow the signs for a 2.5-mile hike to the river. The mushrooms hit me first, make me nauseous. They disorient me, but only emotionally, make me scared of where I am and what I'm doing. I try to keep a straight face, though, and smile, smile, smile. Evan doesn't say much, but by now Penny and I know this is just how he gets with psychedelics, so she and I do most of the talking. We reach a silver bridge that crosses over the river. Penny strolls along like nothing. I stop. "Wait," I say. "I don't know if I can do this." "Yes, you can. It's just a bridge. Come on." "No, really," I say. "Just give me a second." Penny is a few planks in. Evan is behind me, but all I can focus on is how strong the river's current is and how easily it would swallow me and drown me if I fell from the bridge. The cold would be the worst part, not cracking my head open on a rock, because then I would just lose consciousness and die, which is kind of what I want right now. Either that or to go back to camp and read a book and fucking chill or something. The last thing I want is to cross this bridge like I'm on some goddamn game show. Fuck it. Okay, let's go. I walk between Penny and Evan. My palms feel electric as they hold on to the metal railings on either side of me. I really feel as though my life could end on this bridge, but I always come back to the same thing. If my life ends by accident, that's kind of the best way to go. Nobody blames you like they do with suicide, and yet all of your problems disappear just the same. The river is the bluest that I've seen water be. Blue and white from all the foam, too. There's a big chunk of desert where we're headed. I see more eagles than I do regular birds. I see a bighorn sheep standing on a cliff with nowhere to go and no way to get off. I wonder how the hell it got there in the first place. Almost to the end, Penny says. I'm so nervous that I start to laugh. Every part of me shakes. Even my teeth clatter. I'm also sweating so damn much that I can't help but think of how smelly and gross I will be by the time we reach the top of the canyon again. My nails are filled with dirt. My face is still greasy from not showering after waking up. And I'm wearing the same socks I wore yesterday, only now they're crusty and hard. As soon as my feet reach solid ground again, I put all those worries aside. That's the stuff of normal stressful life. Worrying about brushing your teeth and shaving and taking a shower in the mornings. It feels good knowing that I can't just take off my clothes and wash them. There's a sense of relief that comes with having to accept where you are and what your reality is. And right now, my reality is that I'm the dirtiest I have ever been in my life. The mushrooms only make me more aware of that. But I manage to put it down and focus on my surroundings instead. Penny takes us down to that chunk of desert land and closer to the river. I want to go sit on that rock, Evan says as he points to a rock a couple 100 feet from where we are. Do it, Penny says. But if you guys need me or want to leave, please come get me. We will, I say. When he leaves, I feel as if I'm intruding on Penny's privacy and her trip. I'm gonna walk around a little, I tell her. Just yell out my name if you need me, she says. And as I walk away from her, I see her put earphones on. I have to be careful with every step I take because this isn't just desert land. It's like I'm out of bounds on a map and every inch of the floor is covered with thorns and other sharp things trying to kill me. I know that some of what I'm seeing right now is real and some of it isn't, but I'm struggling to tell the difference. I make my way to a rock that's taller than I am, and I climb on top of it. I lie down on the warm, flat surface of the rock and look up at the sky. There are no airplanes or helicopters, no clouds, and no more birds. The only sound I hear comes from the river. I don't have to be anywhere or do anything, but still, I feel like I'm waiting for something to happen. There's gotta be more to mushrooms than this. I close my eyes. Images of spiders and snakes and poison and dying in the desert all strike me at once like a dream in which I'm falling, except I don't immediately sit up with these. I'm hypnotized by them. The dark, dark black of a spider's legs crawling through the tan desert floor, getting closer and closer to my rock. The slithering of a snake as it sticks its tongue out in quick bursts, tasting me before it has reached my flesh. I see drips of rainbow-colored water on the back of my pupils. I must be staring at the sun, but I'm so firmly planted on this rock that the thought of moving, opening my eyes, or doing anything at all seems far-fetched. A single tear rolls down my right eye and enters my ear like a snake's tongue. My throat is dry and my lips are chapped. I open my eyes and sit up in a panic. The clothes on my upper body all come off and form a pillow on which to rest my head. I look up at the sky again, but this time I leave my eyes open. Chills lift up the hairs on my body when the thought of snakes and spiders strikes me again. Another tear rolls down the same eye, but this time it misses my ear on its way down. I want to cry so badly. There are so many things to cry about. Nat, my parents, all of the mistakes I've made. I want to weep them out of my system, but all I can manage is one fucking tear at a time. Have I emotionally blocked myself off that much? Despite my crying being on hold, my thoughts and sadness won't stop. Nat enters my mind. I remember hiking the Greenbelt with her for one of our first dates and watching her slip and fall in the mud, her telling me after the fact that she was glad I laughed because she hates it when people ask if you're okay in those situations. Or the night we spent on South Padre Island, exploring each other's bodies like we never had before, afraid of catching something from the motel bed. Or how on our first date, when I asked her what she liked to do for fun, she said, I don't know. Right now I'm kind of a bum. I watch a lot of TV. Rick and Morty is one of my faves. I wish that I could have been better to her. I wish I hadn't slapped her or broken up with her so much. I wish that her family and I had gotten along better. I remember her fondly, but I also know that because of the decisions I made, she and I will never have a relationship again, not even as friends. And that's what hurts the most about this breakup, knowing that this precious thing I dedicated so much of my time and energy to is now over for good, and that I'll never hear Nat's voice again, except on videos of her that I still have saved on my computer. I don't know how I'm going to do it when I get back home. Having Maddie to look forward to helps, but I worry that even if it works out with her, it'll just end up exactly where every one of my relationships does. She's a fun girl to spend time with. She's beautiful in more ways than one. But when she finds out who I am, who I really am, I think she'll lose interest. Fuck. If I was in her shoes, I would probably lose interest in me too. If that's the case, I guess I'll have old men to look forward to, because at least no one can take that away from me. It's the problem with addiction, man. It gives you an out. No matter how bad life gets, you'll always have your addiction to fall back on. And even if you know that it only destroys and destroys and continues to cause havoc in your life, it still gives you that adrenaline rush that masks itself as good, because how could something that feels so intense and so physically present ever be bad for me? I don't even know how long it's been. I should probably start keeping track of the days and treat it like a real addiction. Maybe accepting that I'm powerless over this void that keeps haunting me is the first step to recovery. It's just so fucking ingrained in me that I'm not that kind of person. My mom always told me I was smarter than my grades reflected, that I could do better because it's in my blood. And even though I was loud and obnoxious in class, teachers never hated me because they really did believe in my potential. That's such a stupid fucking word, potential. Nobody has potential unless they've proven that they do. How have I proved my potential? By getting D's in all of my classes and dropping out of college? By cheating on both of my ex-girlfriends? By selling myself to older men because daddy was never around for me? Maybe I'm not the person that everyone wants me to be, and maybe that's okay, as long as I keep striving to be the person that I want to be, as long as I keep writing. That's one thing I'll never let go of, because if I did, I might as well kill myself. I think of my mom and my dad and how sad it makes me that I've never felt close to them. I think of the times when they were still together and I slept in bed with them, in two singles that made up a king. My dad slept on the side closest to the balcony and read the newspaper in his underwear. My mom slept on the side closest to the bedroom door and read Oprah magazine in her nightgown. I slept in the middle, over the crack where the two single beds met, rolled around a lot and tried to get their attention, but never managed to. This is the only memory I have of my parents before they separated, and when I think of it, I always ask myself the same question. How come they never talked to one another? The world seems giant from down here. My body is starting to overheat, and I'm seeing spiders and snakes again. Part of me thinks it's because I'm dehydrated. Part of me wants it to be that so I can close my eyes and die on this rock, because going back to Austin, my job, my friends and family, Maddie, my addiction, all those things that await in the real world, going back to all that feels impossible.